One time to, yeah, that's fine. Just go with it. I'm already aware. All right.
Sure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tipple's virtual wine tasting with Elizabeth and Jeff O'Dre, owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. This week, we're going to be enjoying one of my favorite grapes from one of my favorite areas.
Awesome.
All right. So this week, we're drinking the green and red Zinfandel from Napa Valley, California.
Awesome.
All right. Will you pull up the first slide?
Yes, I will.
If you have not already done so, everybody, it is that time to pop your bottle open. We chilled ours for about 30 minutes in the fridge to get it down to about 60 degrees, European cellar temperature. Sorry, little frog in my throat this week. We will work through it. And you know what really helps that?
Wine.
Wine.
Exactly.
True.
No, actually, whenever I have a cough or anything, you're like, do you want some
Excuse me.
wine? It'll
Right.
chill that cough.
It really
right
does.
now.
It's amazing.
Mhm.
All right, so ratings on this guy: Wine Spectator 92, Willy Wong 91. So food pairings on this really fun because you've got spiciness and fruitiness going on hand in hand with the Zinfandel. Jambalaya, smoked Gouda and bacon dip, spicy tuna rolls,
Mhm.
and grilled vegetable Napoleon.
Okay, so is what we're having tonight, does it pair well with this?
It pairs just fine with it.
Okay.
You know, like it's helpful because it is a spicy soup.
Okay,
So
it's
yeah,
a spicy Spanish chicken soup.
right. The chicken side, not
Okay.
as much, but the
If it were
spicy,
Italian sausage,
it's got a
it'd be
little. It would
Or
be,
not.
yeah, it
Okay.
would be.
Okay.
You know, something like a little more pork,
Oh,
duck
okay.
at the very least.
Okay.
You know, that kind of a thing. But not a bad pairing. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So,
Are you gonna be doing this all night?
I have not been coughing all day. I get on camera and all of a sudden everything my body wants to do has with a cough. I mean, I'm actually better now. We had this a couple weeks ago where I was not on cam, right?
True.
But I am better. Anyway,
Sure you are.
I can't prove it at this moment.
Okay, all right.
Let me have a sip.
Okay. Would you like for me to stop the share?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so varietal content. This guy's all Zin. Zin, and all Zin.
All's in all the time.
That's right.
Mhm.
Alcohol content. 15.1%.
That's what we like to hear.
That's right. Lock up your daughters. All right. This is a big boy.
Mhm.
Mm. All right. So we'll talk about what we're tasting, but first, age worthy, right? Can this age? Zin is not regularly known for being a big aging grape,
Okay.
right?
Why?
It's very fruity. It can often be lower in acidity.
Okay.
But high in alcohol. So it's kind of a give and take, right?
Okay.
So in this guy, it's a very nice one. It has some
Mhm.
acidity. Yeah.
Mhm.
It certainly has the alcohol, has some tannin. It's a low tannin wine often.
Mhm.
So with a red, you're looking to age it. You're looking for alcohol higher, tannins being higher,
Mhm.
medium in this case,
Yeah.
right? And acid being higher in this case, medium, right? So medium aging potential. So we're talking about 5 to 7 years on
Okay.
this guy. Mhm.
So, and then Kiwi wants to know, are Zins normally that high? This 15.1%.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Zins are normally higher in alcohol.
Why?
That is intrinsic in the grape. They produce a lot of sugar.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So a lot of sugar, get a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good question. And Linda and Paula are very, they say smoky and pepper. They love it.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Grown properly, you get a lot of character in a Zinfandel.
Mhm.
Grown improperly, you just get a bunch of flabby fruit and alcohol in Zinfandel.
Okay.
So it is a grape that, well, I was about to say it's a grape that is really dependent on good growth for good wine.
Okay.
I can't think of a grape that's not true for.
Okay.
So I decided to back off on that as being something specific to Zinfandel.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. You know, wine grapes can be very different. You can grow them just for alcohol production. It can be an alcohol delivery system. It doesn't have to be special. It can be fruity. and make you feel funny, right? Or it can be character driven and a lovely story of location and make you feel funny, right?
Okay.
And so
There
anyway. All right. So, all right. Barrel aging on this. It is 70% American, 30% French oak, 20% of which is new. So there are a lot of Zinfandels out there that you will drink it and you will think, okay, this is a ton of berries and vanilla.
Mhm.
Would you say you're getting a dominant exposure to vanilla in addition to the fruit on this? Or would you say it's more spicy?
I feel like I'm getting more spicy. Do you want to see what they say too?
Yeah.
Okay, he's just gonna sit here and wait
right.
until somebody answers. him,
I'm just
so
gonna stare at you guys.
You
That's
can
fine.
answer with the mic or with the chat or.
We'll
I would
say
say
more
spicy.
spicy.
Mhm.
I agree with Elizabeth.
And then Jerry? Because
Yeah.
The same.
the same,
Yeah, the
okay,
same spice.
and the Montreal say spice as well.
Spicy. All right. So
Okay, so I mean, but American oak, so why is that then?
it's because only 20% of the barrels are new.
Okay,
So we're dealing with a lot more of a demure barrel exposure because they're older barrels.
okay,
The older the oak in the barrels, the more times they've been used, the less oak influence you will have. So when
so
you,
the spice is coming from the grape,
the spice would be, the spice is coming from the grape.
okay,
It will also come somewhat from the barrels,
okay,
Right.
even though it's American?
even though it's American. Yes,
Okay.
American
Alright.
can give spice, but there's plenty of French, and
Mhm.
they don't designate where the new is.
Oh,
What if
okay.
the 20% new was all French of the 30%, right? Yeah, so I don't know, because French does tend to give a little more spice.
Okay,
But it is an intrinsically spicy grape when well grown,
okay,
and it wasn't drenched in oak
okay,
and covered in oak,
okay,
which I love. Which one of the things I really like about this wine is you are drinking an expression that is. I love oak on, I'm good with oak on wine, but I don't like it when it takes over, right?
Sure.
So we're still tasting the grapes
yeah,
predominantly, and then they just age them in oak to kind of round it out and bring out the best in the grape,
okay.
would be my opinion on that. So
Hold on, I just have to move this a little bit. It's bothering me that, okay,
It
there we
keeps-
go.
twisting, I think it's something on the cord on the back.
It's just
I tried to lock it in.
to putting me in the.
You know what?
center of the-
You should be the spotlight. That is fair. Very fair. So
So-
I'm not saying there's no vanilla, by the way.
Right, no, and actually, so Kiwi said she likes the vanilla, she has like the vanilla hint, but she does feel the spice as well. So there's a hint of vanilla for her. And then Chris and Robin, they're finishing up cooking, but yes, very lightly caked, mostly spicy dark fruit.
Yep,
Mhm.
I would agree. So I'm getting on this guy. Dark fruit, black cherries, blackberry, some raspberry. There's a redness to this as well, which would be consistent with Zinfandel. Some Zinfandels can be all red fruit, but this one is rich enough that I would go with some of the black cherry, some blackberry,
Mhm.
in addition to raspberry. And then the herby cloviness, right?
Well, I wondered what caked meant, but I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
do
go
it.
with it. I'm not gonna call you out.
I think I got naked and it corrected. Oaked. I'm
Oaked.
going insane. Caked, naked. What are you guys doing? No one, the camera's off.
Well. We just have
All right.
Chris on camera.
Yeah. So
All right.
oaked is what he
So-
meant.
So, with Zin, of the spicy side,
Mhm.
commonly there's some pepper when it's well grown. Pepper in addition to baking spices. So you can get anise, you can get maybe clove, but also some black pepper. I think yes for
Yeah,
this one,
yeah.
right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So this is a big wine with a lot of flavors coming out of there, but I love all the spiciness to balance the fruit.
Mhm.
Zinfandel is an inherently fruity grape.
Yeah,
It is, right? That
Mhm.
is a thing. But when well grown, you have these wonderful spices, maybe a little acidity to keep it fresh, a little tartness on the finish, and some tannins to kind of bring it in. It can be somewhat tannic, but it is not naturally a highly tannic grape.
yeah, no, I'm definitely not
Mhm.
feeling high tannins, but medium tannins for sure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I like it. Honestly, as a red blend, you know what I'd love to have one day? Zinfandel Nebbiolo.
Does that exist?
No, it does
Okay.
not.
All right.
But if it's going to exist, I think probably Australia, and I just threw out the challenge. All right, so
All right, so you're just challenging the entire continent of Australia. Someone
That's
needs
right.
to give you
I have had,
Zen Nebbiolo.
yes, because I know I've had Australian Nebbiolo,
Mhm.
I've never had an Australian Zin, but I feel like they could certainly pull it off. Or you know who else could do it? The jack of all trades in the United States, Paso Robles.
Weren't we just there last week?
We were just there last week.
Yep.
So
Okay,
anyway.
so you're throwing it out for them.
I'm putting it out. You know what? When I win the lottery tonight, then we'll do it ourselves.
Okay, that sounds good.
Perfectly. All right. So
Should we
let's
talk about
jump
the
over.
label?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. When we talk about the label, are we talking about why it's called green and red or not?
No, that'll come later
That'll come
with the
later.
winery information.
I'm very intrigued because they're across from one another on the color wheel. So they're complementary colors. So I'm wondering.
It's a good question. Is it
Okay.
because of that? All right, so, but let's start with the label. You walk into a wine store,
Mhm.
you're looking to buy a red wine. I'm assuming you get your way to the reds, right? You have no one to help you, so you're clearly not in Tipples. Let's see what we have on here. So we pick this guy up, we say, okay, it's Zinfandel. If you're familiar with the grape Zin, you're in, right? You're okay. Zinfandel, Napa Valley. Hey, I feel good about Napa growth, right? That
Yeah.
should be pretty good.
I mean,
Estate
Even
is,
if you're not familiar with wine, I'm thinking Napa's still gonna stand out to you.
for most people,
Yeah.
not all, and fair enough, but optimally, yes, right? And estate is right on there. So that would be, okay, if it's an estate grown and they threw estate on there,
Mhm.
so that should be an estate grown wine. So they have control over growth from the beginning. They own the place, they own the dirt, they own the grape, the vines, they control it. Childs Canyon Vineyards. So you're actually, they're drilling down a little bit, going even deeper into within Napa, Childs Canyon Vineyards, right? You go on the back. More Childs Canyon Vineyards, a blend of 3 different terraced mountain vineyards, which we will get into.
Okay.
And Childs Canyon within Napa.
Mhm.
You don't have to know that, but you know, if you're looking at this, you're like, okay, there's a lot of specificity of location is
Well,
my
you
point.
know, it would be
So-
within Napa because it says Napa Valley on the front of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So Napa Valley plus more specificity plus estate
Mhm.
gives you that this is something that is very much representative of a specific winemaker, not just a large group, right? Specific winemaker in control of this product from beginning to end. I feel like that's going to be a good bet if you're looking for Zinfandel.
Well, I mean, this label gives you a lot.
Yeah.
So this label, you could actually, like, I would feel confident picking that up,
Right.
even if I didn't, it couldn't get a hold of you.
Right, and even it says here, grown, produced, and bottled.
Right.
It leaves nothing to the imagination. We made this, and good for you guys, and you should claim it because it's great. So, anyway. That
You can
is,
tell Elizabeth did not look at the slide ahead of time because there's no Oxford comma, which is irking me a little bit, but
Hmm.
anyway.
okay, so. All right, so that is my wine label review.
Okay.
Next one, please.
All right.
Moving along, right? All right, Zinfandel. Zinfandel is the 4th most popular grape in the United States, behind Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir took over for. Do you remember what Pinot took over for? It used
It
to
was
be
the
behind.
Merlot?
Merlot,
Yeah.
yeah, after the movie.
Right, after
Right.
Sideways.
After Sideways, and then Merlot. took a-
Rachel lost the
some-
Oxford comma as well. Thank you, Rachel.
So anyway, so you have Cab, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, then Zinfandel. Now, that is bumped up with Zinfandel's evil twin, white Zinfandel. I mean, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, that a lot of the growth of Zinfandel is used to make a very sweet rosé
Mhm,
called white Zinfandel.
right,
And
okay. Also, Chris was evidently shouting Merlot from the stove, but couldn't make it over in time to type it. So
okay,
Robin wanted everyone to know he was shouting.
and you know
Merlot.
what?
Yes, and
Oh,
also they are pro Oxford comma.
Okay, I am too. but
You're-
I'm also,
And
you know what? I'm a busy man. I don't have time for
type that comment
That's right.
in there. Okay,
All right, so
because you notice it's not on this slide either.
uh,
There's no Oxford comma on this slide either. You're not gonna acknowledge.
high acid,
Okay,
it can be very high acid.
Uh-huh.
We actually had one from Napa Valley a couple of weeks ago that was very high acid. So you actually have to manage it low tannin. Unless you really work it, you're going to end up with low tannins, intense flavor and color. So we have a very intense skin, not a particularly thick skin.
okay,
Mhm. Small berry size, so that thinner skin goes a long way. So you have a higher skin to juice ratio because of the berry size.
if it were a thicker skin, would it be higher tannic? I mean, does that? go
Yes,
along?
it
Okay.
does go along
right.
with that, yes. Usually easy to see through, not necessarily, but even with this one, you can kind of see through it, and this is a more intense one.
I can kind of see.
You can kind of, you're not very easily, but you can see it a little bit. Yeah, and this is a more intense Zin. There are a lot of Zins you can see right through, and that's okay.
Okay,
You still get lots of nice spice and fruit and that kind of a thing, so. But if you want to get a little bit more tannin, you usually have to get a little darker color, got to thicken those skins. More long hang time. So, you need it to have something where it won't get late season rain and it can stay on the vine a long time and very slowly ripen. Optimally, higher altitude. So higher the altitude, the more UV radiation hits the grapes
okay,
and it thickens the skins,
okay.
right? And windiness
I was just
also
going down
thickens the
that way,
skins.
yeah,
And the other thing that's great, right?
you're getting more wind
You're
too.
getting more wind and lower humidity, which helps with those clusters of grapes. So you don't get mildew and fungi on the interior of the grape
Yeah.
cluster. Yeah. Origin is Croatia. So it arrived in the US in the 1800s, got into California around 1850. Not identified as the Croatian grape Tribedrag until the 1990s.
Okay,
Tribedrag is the original name from Croatia.
but that's when they did the DNA testing.
In the 90s,
Okay.
and because they didn't know where it came from
Mhm.
until the 90s. They did the DNA testing was an amazing thing for the wine world.
Yeah.
Really blew people's minds,
It's
especially in Chile.
just really interesting that you're DNA testing grapes,
Right?
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't just people, like, and I get
Right.
people in criminology and all
Right.
that. It was the grape world as well.
That's
I mean, that's when Chile discovered they weren't growing Merlot. It's Carmenere.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
So Trimedrag, also called Primitivo in Italy. So Zinfandel and Primitivo nowadays, you're not going to see Trimedrag on the market. And honestly, Croatia is making almost no Zinfandel grape, but it's a great grape, right?
Yeah.
And so thank goodness it has a life. It's moved on, right?
mhm. So evidently they DNA test flies as well.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it's DNA's testings everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, you can test your dogs, find out what they are.
Right.
too. Mhm.
So in this day and age,
Mhm.
Zinfandel,
Mhm.
at this point, there are 43,000 acres plus in the United States
Is there a
planted.
slide for this?
No,
Okay.
No.
All right.
27,000 acres in Italy. So 43,000 here, 20,000, only 170 acres in Croatia.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
It's like it's one vineyard.
we produce by far the most. We produce the best that's ever been created. And I dare somebody to to challenge me on that. And
I'm throwing down all kinds of gauntlets.
all the gauntlets, right? This is the US signature grape.
Mhm.
And if you were to say, because some people will, that most people in the US drink garbage wine, it also is the garbage wine, right? Because it's white Zinfandel, right? So, and I threw another gauntlet down.
Yeah, there you go.
There is no highly rated white Zin. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think too, when you're new to drinking like nicer wines,
Mhm.
when you hear Zinfandel, you think, oh, that's no.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And no,
Right, because I know for a long time, like in my 20s, it was white Zin.
right.
So then when I heard Zinfandel later on, I was like, oh, that's like
Right.
college or whatever. And yeah,
Right. No,
I've
and,
had to switch that in my head. Okay, Zinfandel's red. It's red. It's red.
and,
Yeah.
and you bring up a good point,
Mhm.
right? I'm never critical of people because they heard of that first, right? That's not on them. It's not on them.
Mhm.
It's fine. But like I said, I don't carry it in the store, and I'm happy to say, oh, Zinfandel, you want something that spicy wine will work well with, and I've had to talk to people and they say, oh, wait, but I want a red wine. I'm like, oh no, Zinfandel is a red grape. You've only seen white Zin, which is fair.
It's a
I'm not in
re-education.
any way, right. That never bothers me. In
Yeah.
fact, it excites me
Mhm.
to be able to talk about it. So I'm just saying it does exist, and I'm not a big fan of the other side.
Clearly not. You
No.
called it garbage wine.
Well,
Hey, if it gets you into wine drinking,
that
then
is
cool.
what, yes,
it's a
yeah.
gateway wine.
It
Chuck.
is,
just
it's a
fun.
gateway. Okay, it gets you in the wine game, then I'm happy.
Okay, there you go. Oh, we have some chat. Let's see. When is Zinfandel used in red blends?
Rarely,
Oh,
rarely.
Okay.
It is occasionally and more often. So you'll see it more and more. We had one in the store, but they changed their blend. We drank it as a group. It was Hope Dies Last.
oh, yeah.
Right, that was a Zinfandel dominant red blend,
They changed it. at
but they
some point.
changed the blend. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
but anyway, which is fine,
Mhm.
fair enough.
So it's mostly just a single varietal then.
It's mostly a single varietal. I mean,
Okay.
it really is. It could be used a lot more, and it
Mhm.
is there,
Mhm.
but not as commonly as the other Bordeaux varietals,
Mhm.
right? So Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, that kind of a thing. So
Okay.
yeah, so those are much more commonly used.
Okay. And then we do have a question from Linda and Paul.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, so the white Zinfandel thing and the stigma of it and everything, that's an American thing, right? They're not
Yes.
over in Europe going, yeah, okay.
Yeah, very, very much. It was actually created by accident. They were making a wine that it had Zinfandel. And then, in fact, they were fermenting it. Maybe they were going to blend it in to a red wine. And it was over a holiday weekend, is my understanding. That's the article I read. And the system broke and it stopped fermentation. And so they ended up with a lot. And so this was a very large volume producer with many, many thousands of gallons of sweet white,
A lot of money.
right? A lot of
that
money
was
tied up.
invested.
And so they tasted it and they thought, people like sweet wines, which is fair enough.
Students will drink this.
I have no problem with sweet wine. I mean, I'll drink German wine all day, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. And they're wonderful Italian
But there
wines.
was not complexity to it.
But this is just much more simple, which, okay, fine.
There's a place for it in the market.
It's fine, obviously, because
So this
there's a
one-
lot of it that goes there.
vineyard did this.
Yes.
Or
This one producer did
producer did
this.
this, and then everyone else jumped on it because
It was popular and they jumped on and it became a thing.
when did this
By
happen? In
accident.
the 80s?
I believe in the 70s.
In the 70s.
If I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, there was a
I
lot
think it
of
was the
that
late
wine being
70s.
made in the US in the 70s too, so
there is that.
we're all
I had
over
never
it.
heard that story. I feel like I heard the same thing about Zima, but whatever.
That could be. All right. So,
Wait,
let's see.
there's some chat.
Okay.
too. So let me see. What was the vineyard?
We'll talk about it off screen.
After,
Yeah.
in the after party, we can say that, Sutter Home started with white.
Well, then that's it. Yes,
There you
that's
go.
it.
They gave it away.
There you
Good job. Yeah.
It was Sutter Home. Which is, by the way, that's fine.
I mean, they made a lot of money off of it. I'm
They,
sure.
you know what? They are not weeping
Yeah.
over the creation of White Zin.
There you
They are very much reveling in the creation of White Zin.
go. Sure.
So,
You ready?
yes.
Okay.
All right, so thin skins, small berry size, lots of skin per ounce of juice, lots of flavor, but can be lighter in color, lighter in intensity.
Mhm.
Blackberry, strawberry, peach preserve, cinnamon, so sweet tobacco, brambles, spiced plum, hoisin, which is, to my understanding, another type of plum, and vanilla.
We need to get some hoisin so we can.
Hoisin
Check
is
it
a
out.
Chinese condiment.
Oh, is that what it is? All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think that I was just gonna say,
Oh, so it's the Asian,
like, they've been like, look, here's our hoisin before.
the
Yeah.
Asian spicy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it works in that whole baking spice, but a little bit on the peppery, you get the kind of an
Yeah,
interesting.
We have,
spice.
we need to get some hoisin so we can taste it and smell
I'm on it. That sounds good.
it. Okay.
All right.
Would you like for me to move?
Can I see on the left side again here? I want to make sure there's not something I missed.
Can. Hold on.
Originating from Croatia. All right, there we go. Right, so, all right, we are good.
But
Exotic
it
spices.
says it's called Krajinok
Yeah, right.
Kasolonsky, and you said it was called Tribadrog.
True. Yep, all I can repeat is what I read.
Okay,
Right.
maybe it's called both things.
Yeah, exactly. And probably it is. I mean, if you look at Italy is a great example.
Mhm.
They have the same grape called many different things. So
So there you go. In
Good.
that 170 acres, it has two different names.
probably in that,
Like
It's probably
Beauty
one now.
Vineyards, you know, it's the Hatfields and the McCoys, but in Croatia.
somebody just got all of it. It's
Yeah.
like, that's it.
There you go. Okay, so the spicy food really brings out some brown sugar notes.
Like that, Colin?
Blackberry, definitely. Thank you.
Yep.
Can I have some more, please?
Yes, you can. Oh,
He's being negligent this evening.
oh, that means that it's a.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean the reverse when I don't
Yeah,
get more.
you're right, but.
Yes, but
It is.
definitely when I get more, it does. Especially when I'm like, Jeff,
All right,
stop
so,
taking care of me.
let's see here. Famously has a jammy character. And it can be overly jammy, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying I love every single Zinfandel, but I don't love every single of any variety
sure.
of grape, right? So, but tobacco, peppery, zingy, baking spices, some herbs. It's got character that
Mhm.
can really come out, and it's fun. Reputation was almost destroyed in the 1970s because the cheap rosé.
So it was the 70s.
It was the 70s, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, and you know, to this day, there are some people that don't know, but it's, thank goodness, has really recovered from that.
Sure.
Kind of like rosé, it kind of happened about the same time rosé was gaining its reputation as a dry, really nice wine.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people, when rosé came over, rosé suffered from white Zinfandel as well.
Really?
Yes,
Huh.
everyone assumed rosé was sweet because of white Zin.
Sure.
So it actually crossed over to Zinfandel and rosé as a whole.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we talked about this.
This,
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah, kind of a thinner skin, but intensity, but a small grape. So we have we have a small amount of juice compared to the amount of skin, so you do still get a significant strong effect on the wine. So when you crush it. All right, so where are we? We are in the northern growing latitude, right in the middle here on the west coast of the United States. We are in the second American viticultural area ever designated, because the first one was in,
Sorry.
right, everyone knows this.
Everyone knows this, that has
Right.
been with you for a
What
while.
am I?
It says, I've never had white Zin, but I always associated rosé with sweetness until a few years ago.
There you go. Fair
Mhm.
enough, right?
Yeah.
And I think that
Absolutely.
became something cultural in the United States.
Sure, yeah.
All right, so first American viticultural area was in Missouri,
Right.
in Augusta, Missouri, just like you said.
I'm
This is
assuming it's in one of these dark green areas.
one of
I
those
don't know
two.
where Augusta, Missouri is.
Sadly, I have not memorized where it was because we've never had any wine from there because it needs to improve. So, all right, so California, we are in the northern coast. And we're inland a little bit here. Napa is in orange. And within Napa, we're in the Childs Valley district. So we're over in the mountain ranges,
Mhm.
over to the east side of the valley.
Okay,
Mhm. So Napa Valley, second AVA in the US, warm, dry climate, long, dry growing season. It allows for a long hang time, slow growth and slow maturation. It cools down quickly in the evening, so you get a lot of ripening during the day and it turns off at night, right? Clay-based soils provide fast drainage, low organic matter, and high mineral content to give even more quality, more character, excuse me.
well,
And
what'd you
all
do?
right, so I probably went the wrong way. All right, so Napa Valley. And take a look. This is the valley floor. This is up in the mountains where we are,
This looks like a postcard.
right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so.
Are the current California rains affecting wine growing areas? I was wondering about that as well.
Not right now, because they have not, they haven't budded out yet.
Okay,
So if you get a lot of rain while they're not growing, it just helps the roots.
okay.
So this is
It
actually
helps the roots
not a
and
problem.
create like a root rot.
Not that I know of it, because once again, you talk
Because
about
it's
these fast
fast,
dry, the
okay.
fast drying,
Mhm.
really, the soils that do not retain a lot of water.
Okay,
And they go the water goes down into the aquifer. And so the old vines can reach way down, get the water they need without rotting out.
okay,
So this should not be a problem with the wine growing season.
okay.
And it should help with it not burning this year.
Yeah, hopefully. So when does it bud out?
It's going to bud out in March, usually March, April.
Okay, all right.
I
So
would say in
it
California.
has wild dry out.
Yeah, it's got some time.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Good question. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Advance?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Green and Red Winery. The property was purchased in 1969 by a gentleman named J. Hemingway. So
Related to Ernest?
not that I know of.
Okay,
So he was a hippie in his full glory. Please go to the next slide.
Okay.
There we go. The initial 20-acre purchase included a cold water hunting cabin, cold water only, a burned down barn, and an abandoned Fleetwood Cadillac.
okay,
So basically, they all got together. They were all hippies at the universities in California,
okay.
highly educated people.
Mhm.
And they all wanted to make a difference in the world and live locally and off,
Mhm.
and so a lot of the people went up even farther north,
Mhm.
and started farms and that kind of a thing. He went into Napa, bought 20 acres that came with this. It was dirt cheap in 1969. It was fallow.
Really?
Yeah. This was not a winery up and running.
Yeah,
Right. he found century-old Zinfandel vines on the property and decided, that's what I'm going to do here.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Best as I can find from the store.
Yeah.
Right. So the name, red and green, or green and red,
Mhm.
right? It's named for the soils. So the soils that run through there on that
Mhm.
side run greenish and reddish
Oh,
with ocean deposits.
huh.
So
That's interesting.
the red is called chert, chert, chert base in oceanic green serpentine veins of mineral driven soil going through there. So that's where the name comes from, is the soil.
And there are Zinfandel grapes in both types of soil.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And the big difference in what they do, because they have some different options,
Mhm.
is in the altitude.
Oh.
So this is a blending of all three of his major altitudes from 1,000 to 2,000 feet above sea level.
Okay.
Right. They say 1 to 1,700, but honestly, I've read a little bit on there and it goes all the way up to 2,000.
Wow.
And some of the juice comes from every bit of it. So they do individual single vineyard stuff. This is a blending, but all estate. So he owns all of it.
Right.
It's a blending of 3 vineyards, but they're all his vineyards
Okay.
and they're all connected. Let's see here. Jay ran the vineyard with his wife Pam until his death in 2019.
Oh,
And now,
so recent.
yeah, very recently. Now his daughter Tobin runs it with her mother.
Mhm.
Yep, and her husband, and they have a winemaker and a vineyard manager, but it's still a family enterprise.
Yeah.
Very much. And Pam being there during basically the entire time
Mhm.
is still very much a part of things. So.
Do you know if they're in this picture anywhere?
They did not designate who was who.
Okay,
So
all right,
I took it because they thought it was important to share, but they didn't give me any more to work with.
okay.
All right, so but here's the winery, by the way. It's not some crazy big thing,
Yeah.
modern creation. This is a place that I want to go hang out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you want to ask? Because I know you said the Montrals had been here.
Oh, yes, they have. Well, we can stop real quick.
Okay,
Put them on the spot.
yeah. So tell us something about it.
So, Chris, you said you were a fan, that you enjoyed it when you guys went there?
Yes, we did. We really are big fans of this wine, the winery, and the people for a number of reasons. One, it's like you said in Charles Valley, it's off the beaten path. So it's not in the tourist section of Napa. You're not going to find the bachelorette party buses pulling in. It's like the old Napa that we used to enjoy going to, where you walk into an older building, not a big fancy over the top winery, where you'll actually talk to the owners and the winemakers. The last time we've been to Green and Red twice, the last time we met with the winemaker, and he actually took us to the 3 different vineyards, and we tasted wine as we were overlooking that particular vineyard. The wine that came from that vineyard, we had in our glass. And he took us up to the top, which they call Tip Top Vineyard, and just a spectacular view of Napa Valley from up there. And it was just a lot of fun. It was a great experience. And actually, the husband of the now owner, Tobin, so his name is Ray. He actually knows Gainesville very well. I think he either went to law school here or undergrad here, but he was like all excited, that we were from Gainesville. So he was a New York City lawyer, and he now is out there full time with Tobin and his wife. But a great place to visit, and the wine is very good and reasonably priced for Napa wine.
That's awesome. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you sharing that.
That's
Yeah.
a great connection.
Right?
Great
No, I
story.
didn't even know that about Ray. So That is fantastic. I really want to go there.
Yeah. Absolutely. We need to make a list of places that, when we do our.
Right, because the
our
thing is,
trip.
and Chris and I have talked about this quite a bit, where there's a lot of places you can go,
Mhm.
but you really have to be more discerning in this day and age,
Sure.
because there've been many articles, and this is not against the other wineries, right? They're dealing with demand,
Right.
but there's a lot of it that can always, they call it the Disneyland of wine. And most of us, we're not going to want to be caught up in that, right?
Right,
We're
right.
a little more discerning. We'd like to drink something and make a connection with the location. And this one, especially as the more I learned about it and the more I know that there's not that much of this wine available in the state of Florida.
Mhm.
And the Tip Top, I looked at it, none of it's available here. They
Okay.
actually make a Petite Syrah as well, not available here. So right now, this is what we can get, but it's a beautiful example of what they're making. And it just makes me want to know them much more.
Hey, Jeff and Elizabeth, if I could say one more thing.
Absolutely.
On the Tipple's Wine of the Week private Facebook group, I posted a few pictures from our last visit to Green and Red, since this was the Wine of the Week.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And if you go on there, you can see some of I think there's one or two from Tip Top Vineyard up there. So if anyone's interested in checking that out, I put those pictures up there.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you very
That's awesome.
much. Okay, so we need to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you accepted me as a member of that or whatever. Yeah.
I think so. I'm sure I did.
I don't know if you did.
Oh. Hold on a second. Madly tapping.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, I did. Would you like for me
Yes,
to
please.
share again? Yeah, no, I think that'd be so cool when we do eventually do like a little tour or whatever over there, to go to the smaller ones, because of exactly what Chris said,
Right.
is being able to meet the actual winemaker, being able to have that connection and rather than you're just a part of a giant group that is coming through. And like you said, like the Disneyland
Right.
Disneyland's great, Disney World is great, but
Right.
I'd rather go to the more intimate settings and really make a connection. Yeah. Okay, advance.
Yes, please. All right, so here we are. So we have this guy up in the outstanding level
Mhm.
of ratings, right? We don't need to review the exact numbers, which I think was 90, could be even
It was
91.
fine, yeah.
But anyway, it's up in the outstanding level.
Mhm.
Is it an outstanding wine of superior character and style when taking into account price point, the grape, the location, and overall enjoyment, right? Or is it a very good wine with special qualities? Is it a classic wine? It's like, oh my God, I want this to be served on my deathbed and poured on my grave, right? Fair enough on that. It's a good, solid, well-made wine, which like we talked about, a lot of people that get those ratings because things get skewed up to the outstanding level. It's not that they don't exist, it's that they don't publish them or they don't even have the wine rated.
Right.
Right. So these wines are all in the market,
Mhm.
but not all of them talk about it. Right. So anyway, bearing all of that in mind, what do you think about this Zinfandel?
So I'll stop the share for a moment. So feel free to go ahead and type in the chat.
I like how the aromas continue to fill the glass.
So we have Chris is a 91, Robin's a 92. And then the Montrals, Chris is a 94, Cheryl's a 91.
Cannons are opening up as the wine is open.
Actually is.
Right.
Right. Mhm.
Nice. All right.
Oh, okay. The Snyders feel like this is the best Zin we've had.
Nice.
Yeah. Really like Chris said, really like this. It's very balanced and opens nicely. That's Chris Dial. 92 from Consuelo. So from I love that they gave their nickname initials there. So Bubbles is a 90, Kiwi is a 94. So, John and Myra, I enjoy the light tannins and no heartburn. Okay,
yes,
that is
right,
a big
yeah,
deal. Yes.
right.
Okay. Cheryl 92, really like.
Nice.
Dr. Fricker 91, better as the hour goes by, and that's what you're saying.
I
as it's
agree. Like,
opening
if
up
I
more,
enjoy it more
yeah.
now than even at the beginning.
Rachel's a 93, David's a 92. Yeah, I'm a 93, maybe 93.5. I really enjoy this wine.
I'm really glad
Mhm.
you like it so much. I would agree with you, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Okay,
I've had a lot of Zinfandels.
Mhm.
This guy is a step above.
yeah, yeah.
And when you combine it with the value for the money and everything, I think it's a good 93. So.
Yeah.
And I don't always throw my opinion out there.
I think this is the first time you've ever given a rating.
But I really do like this wine. I think it's delightful. So, and I admire the winemakers. That's well made,
Yeah,
just well done.
very, very, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers to the winemakers. Awesome. Would you like for me to share?
Mhm. Let's move on. All right, so let's thank all of our sources, wine.com, 750.com, Wikipedia, wine.com, winetourism.com,
Wait, you said wine.com twice. Wine Folly was the
Wine
first one.
Folly. Thank you.
Mhm.
Always Wine Folly.
Mhm.
It was covered by the thing.
It was.
So I guessed. Anyway, and the Napa Valley, the Napa Wine Project. So thank you all so much for sharing your content with us.
Next week.
Next week, we are headed to one of my favorite locations in the world,
In the world.
but a grape we've never had from that location before.
Okay.
We're going to Mendoza,
Oops. I just saw the picture.
Argentina,
Sorry, you guys can't see it. It remains a mystery.
but
Here.
we're going to be drinking Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir from Mendoza. Yes, yes, yes.
James
when I-
94.
Right? No, this is no slouch. So when I say they can grow anything in Mendoza, they can grow anything in Mendoza.
Wow.
Yes.
What is
Domain
it?
Nico.
Duxelle or Duxelle.
That is an all vegetarian dish.
Ah,
Yep. It's you cook, reduce, chop it all up together over crostini, which is a fancy toast. Anyway,
I mean, anytime you have
Right.
any bread related thing, I'm in. Cool.
right there you go. Duck breast stuffed with prunes, apple stuffed pork tenderloin.
Sounds good.
Yes, all the things that'll work with Pinot Noir will work with this wine, but a really, really interesting. We've never enjoyed wine together, Pinot Noir from Argentina.
Yeah.
So I wanted to grab a Pinot from a different location. There are two locations, one last one that we have not worked with. Two last ones, three last ones. No, anyway, there's always going to be more. It's Monty Python, yes. But anyway, so one of the last areas to enjoy Pinot Noir from, I'm excited about sharing this with you guys. So we've been dealing with some really big dark wines.
Mhm.
It's time for the more elegant side of, or
Sounds
is
good.
it?
I did a Monty Python reference in my live lesson today.
Mhm.
I'd actually had some kids that got it.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wait, what?
That's fantastic.
Your parents are doing a good job.
Exactly.
There you go.
Huzzah to the parents. All right, so thank you all.
Any last questions, comments, what are you eating with it before we wrap up the recording here?
It went really well with my my box jambalaya. Yes, I don't do my own from scratch jambalaya, but it went really well with it.
We're all very disappointed in you.
No.
You
I
don't
did
do-
scratch gumbo. I just want to.
Yeah, Linda made a from scratch gumbo that was very nice.
Oh.
I had a boxed vegetarian gumbo.
Yeah, we did make jambalaya tonight and Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah.
I thought that the spicy, I think the wine really holds up well to a spicy food and really holds it on, really brings out some nice stuff. Yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Loving it.
I had charcuterie. For the record.
She did not do the box jambalaya.
No.
That is fair. But it was good. Okay,
Good.
Dickerson's, what do you guys have?
Pork fried rice with kimchi.
Oh, okay. Actually, I kind of dig that pairing. I think that's pretty cool.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
No,
As you know, Myra made it.
Oh, Myra's the cooking.
no,
queen.
we're in our house right now. We're not in the like off the side because the fire department showed up. So we're good.
I poured the wine.
That's right.
There you go.
I'm glad you guys joined us.
But it was a really good, he's gotten better with the fried rice, and the kimchi was that spice kick, which really was really well with the wine. So,
Okay, so I think Jake said like spicy tuna is perfect with the Zinfandel. So it's
Mhm.
about as close as we can get.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great pairing.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Fantastic. Thank you guys all for tuning in, putting up with me and enjoying these great wines.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers to you.
Eyes.